home, I need the best y'all got. Tryna make $1, flip it like it's vinyl. Tryna make a way. What's it worth to you if the price too high? Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Give me your best. Don't say nothing less, cause I'm giving you 100. How you always leaving me with nothing? I'm not impressed. It's gonna take more than this, cause I'm giving you 100. And I don't even know if I can trust you for nothing.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Thursday. It's Thursday. It's January the 5th, 2023. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you are up and Adam or up and Annie or up and trying to get going. Welcome to Thursday, y'all. It's going to be a great day. Always a great day, isn't it? It's always a fantastic day to be rocking and rolling and doing what we're supposed to be doing and living in our purpose and doing what needs to be done. My name's Aaron Dwyer. I'm one of the owners and broker of Exit Realty Lake Country. If you're watching this later and see this on YouTube or see this on another channel, that's who I am. And we get up every morning and do this at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. Have a conversation with our agents and whoever else joins us in the Exit Realty Lake Country Nation. So most everybody on here knows who we are. Hopefully we'll get to know you guys, but y'all know the drill. If you're here with us this morning, please let me know you're here. So good morning, Shay. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Vanessa. Missed you guys yesterday. Just was unavoidable that I could get down there. Had a family issues here and had to make sure that this was my week to be in Georgia. But unfortunately, because of Christmas and some other things, had to be in Tennessee yesterday, and I planned on driving down yesterday morning and just didn't work out. So hope you guys that came to the meeting had a great meeting. Hope that was wonderful. I know Christy did a fantastic job. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. We'll just get some more folks in here. Hope everybody has their coffee nice and warm. Shay's probably getting ready to go home in a little bit. Shay, what time do you get done? So Shay, unless your shift changes, did you go back to days or are you still in the overnight shift? And you can just comment in there, obviously, Shay, and tell me which one it is. I'm not sure why this is not showing up on our stream, though. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. So, Shay, what time are you working? You getting off or you just getting started? So, Shay was working when she first joined us. Shay, y'all know she's down in Milledgeville. Some of y'all met Shay, some of y'all haven't. But she was in our Milledgeville office and she was working overnight. So she worked gets off at 7 in the morning. I remember those days where you're up all night trying to stay awake and trying to keep it going. So you go in at 8 or you're off at 8. That's it takes a minute to get used to that, but once you get used to it, it's hard to. I remember when I was a police officer, I worked midnights for 8 of my almost 13 years. Gotcha. So yeah, she's still working overnight, so she gets off at 8. So I've worked midnights for almost 8 years. The majority of my career, I was on the 11 to 7, 11 at the night to 7 in the morning shift. And man, I remember when I first went to day shift, I'd never slept through. I never missed a roll call working midnights, but I missed the day shift the roll call was at 6:30 in the morning, and I missed my first shift on days. Good morning, everybody. That is Kristen. Good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Teal. Hey, y'all. I heard this morning that Christy may be here in a little bit. I think she wanted to talk about what she wanted to talk about yesterday. So I don't know how much time I've got. But y'all, 2023, man, we're 5 days into it. Where are you feeling? Where is your head 5 days into it? Where's your heart 5 days into it? How confident are you in 2023? How confident are you in yourself in 2023? That's probably the bigger piece of that. And the title of it is that Stephen Covey quote's pretty powerful. I got that I'm almost finished with Be Your Future Self Now. and some really great and powerful things in this book that I have, I've highlighted pages and different things. Well, that quote is a Stephen Covey quote. If y'all know who Stephen Covey is, he's the one that wrote um, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's a Stephen Covey book. Coach Bird talks about he was a Stephen Covey guy for a lot of years, and that's a really good quote that he has. Knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing, and so many of us. I've got a sign in my office in Greensboro that says ideas are execution's everything. Ideas are worthless. Execution is everything. And a lot of us have a hard time in the execution piece of what we should be doing. Like on Monday, we started talking about y'all needed to have a plan by tomorrow morning when the sun rose. That means today's the last day to have a plan put in place, to have a plan and a path for 2023. Some of you have been very diligent on this. We've been talking about this probably since August of last year. And some of you we've met with, and some of you we've been, you already have your plan, you already have your goals, you already have the places you're going, your train's gonna go, your map is already planned out, and a lot of you don't. And we don't take the time to sit down and direct where we're going. We don't take the time to sit down and figure out and put together what's really in our heart. Really stop and listen to what's in our heart, to what we truly know. Because I think and I believe knowing is belief, right? There are certain things that you know, and you act accordingly on the things that you know. There are things that you want, there are things that you need, and then there are things that you know. And typically we all act differently with the things that we know. And knowing creates a different belief pattern. If again, you've heard me use this analogy all the time. If you knew you could fly and you had an ultimate knowing, you had the true knowing that you could fly, you'd flap your arms and you'd go fly. A bird knows it can fly. An eagle knows it can fly. They all have knowing that they can fly. If you know you are a fantastic real estate agent, if you know you're going to do the best job for your clients, if you know when you make phone calls, you're providing value to people, when you know that you're a fantastic parent, when you know you're an incredible spouse, your behavior then follows that pattern of knowing. But for a lot of us, we don't know. We're not sure. We're just not quite sure. And many times that's because our habitual behaviors have been we know we should do something. We know in our head we should make a plan. We know in our hearts we should have goals. We know we should set a budget. We know we should have this many phone calls on a day. We know we should check the oil in our car. We should check the air in our tires. We should put gas in the car when it's starting to get low. We know all these things, yet when I say we know, that's a different level of knowing. Your behavior follows what you believe. Your behavior, that's what this book has been all about. And y'all, if on your list of things to do this year is read a book, read more books, add this book to your list. Add this book to your list. I think this is for me. This book was given. As a matter of fact, it's autographed by Tammy Bunnell. Tammy Bunnell gave Christy and I this book when we went to Boston, and I'm about finished. I've only probably got 100 pages left in it. I'm done with it. So put this on your list. Put this book on your list because I think this year, especially in the real estate business, when you look at what the prognosticators, is that right, third word? The people that are looking at the numbers, that looking at the tea leaves, the prognosticators, is that it? I can't think of that word. My brain's not working this morning. When 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 you look at the tea leaves and you look at all the people and you listen to the people who look at these industry models and are looking at all the different factors of the economy and housing numbers and buyer numbers and how many millennials we have that are buying in the market, and how many eligible buyers that we have, how many real estate agents are in the market right now, and what NAR statistics are. When they start to put all those things together, there are some people that I've never seen it where there's such a dichotomy on who believes what, where we've got some people saying it's all going to blow up, and we have some people saying it's going to be great. But I want to tell you, I do believe this, and I heard this said the other day, and I think it's Tom Ferry has said this, and there's a number of other people. David Childers, who runs Keeping Current Matters, which y'all know, a lot of those posts on our Facebook page, on the Exit Realty Lake Country page, on the Lake Sinclair page, on the Mount Juliet page. A lot of those posts are coming from Keeping Current Matters. So take those posts, pull those posts, share those posts to your pages, to your personal pages, because there are really David Childers, who owns Keeping Current Matters, he does a lot of research and they look at a lot of different things. And so when you see those things pop up on our Exit Realty Lake Country page, take those off those pages and share them to your page. Okay. Share those to your page because there's really great information in there, and you're not having to think about a lot of stuff. That's why I love it, because I don't have to go dig for a lot of information because it's already there. So, but what they're both saying is that the market's going to be fine, but but the downside is that they're going to be a good morning, Millie. Oh, look at her, Camellia, her realtor, moaning. Um, excuse me. What they're saying is we're going to have a cleansing in the real estate industry. There's going to be a purge in the real estate industry. You're going to find that a lot of people who've been part-time in this thing, who have been watching HGTV and decided, hey, 3% of $300,000 is how much money? Heck yeah, I can go do that. A lot of these people who've been watching Chip and Joanna and Married to Real Estate and all these other shows on TV, who thought it'd be a great idea to get a real estate license because it seems easy enough at the time and it seems like something I can be free to do. The real estate industry is going to cleanse them this year. There's going to be a cleansing. And I've said this before, and I'll reiterate this morning. They're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8.5 million real estate transactions take place in the United States in the next 12 months. Over the last 20 years, through upturns and downturns, upticks and downticks, recessions and booms, it's typically about 8.5 million houses, 8.5 million units per year that get sold. It's just going to happen. It happens every single year. So if you figure, if the numbers are correct and we lose 20 to 30% of the licensees in the real estate industry, and there's still $8.5 million that are sold, that means for the rest of the 70% who make it, for those professionals, for those that have a plan, for those that have their business put together, for those that know what they're going to be this year, for those that have that belief that they're going to be the best value in their market, they have something to offer to the the real estate clients, the real estate buying public out there, that they're the best listing agent for their clients. Those folks are going to make more money. So I believe 2023 is going to be a year of opportunity if you're in the right headspace, if you're in the right heart space, if you are in the right business position, and you are directing yourself and directing your business and directing your behaviors in the direction of professionalism, y'all, you're going to make more money. Millie says that she truly believes that. It is an I believe it too, Millie. I believe it's an absolute fact. So my job this year for you is is to help you put what's up here connected to what's in here, help you write those things down so that you see them on a regular basis. Get you a little whiteboard, get you a big whiteboard, put you up a piece of poster board, use sticky notes, remind yourself of the things that you're committed to, the things that you know, and then by gosh, just go do it. Just go do it. So I will say this, and I'm going to remind you this. I want to remind you this, and And again, this was another. I told you I've pledged to read 24 books this year. I want to read 2 books a month, and I think if you look at people who are successful, people who are at the top of their game, people who you are they're above. Good morning, Winnie G. When you look at people who are at the top of their game, they're in the top quarter of their industry. And I don't care what industry it is. Um, if you look what um, if you look at what those people do, they read books. They read books, and I know Audible is a good example of a means to an end, but y'all, I'm telling you, there's power in the written word. If the Bible had been if the Bible had been placed in Audible and the Bible had counted on Audible to get it to different people, the Bible wouldn't be what the Bible is, and the Christian religion wouldn't be what the Christian religion is. The fact that the words of, and this is not a Bible, obviously, um, the fact of that the words were written down for people to read, to pass along. They were put on scrolls. The scrolls were hidden. The scrolls were translated, and it's been written word forever. There's power in the written word, and there's power in words and books. So I'm going to encourage you, if you're not a reader, suck it up, Buttercup. Go be a reader. Find you a small little book and start reading you a book. Get the little book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, right? It's a little bitty, itty bitty book. Just get in the habit of reading. Get in the habit of making it a point in your day to read something, because you pull knowledge. Raise your hand. You know I can't see your hands, but I want you to raise your hands if you spend time on social media every single day. So everybody that's on this call and everybody that'll watch this call later today, everybody's hands are raised. How many of you find yourself endlessly or mindlessly on TikTok after you look at a couple of TikToks and then you're on TikTok for like 45 minutes? Raise your hand. Or you're on Facebook for 45 minutes. Or you So Millie asked a question. Do y'all find it better to read in the morning, evening, or night? I like to read when nobody's awake. I like to read when nobody's around, Millie, just for me. So I try to read some in the morning. And then I also now I'm trying to implement some reading in the evening. So for me to get 2 books a month, I might have to pull one for the morning and one for the night, one for the evening. But I like to read when nobody else is around. I like to read just so I can concentrate, because typically when I read, I'm and this is just me. This is Aaron Dwyer's personality. Um, and I'm gonna go back to what you said a second ago, Winston. This is my personality. I have a highlighter and a pen, and I'm like, Bob McKinnon, the director of leadership at Exit, always talks about he marks up books, and I write things in the margins, and I highlight things, and I think who's that? Wendy, that's it. Yeah, Kristen says she likes to read at night because it helps her wind down, or read when she's done with her day, because it helps her wind down. I'm the same way. Michelle says I like to read alone. If I read too late in the evening, I fall asleep and don't remember what I read. And I think there's a point in that, right? There's a place in the day when you're this, and this was Kristen's. But so Millie, so we got some that like the morning and some that like the night. I think this for me, the essentials for me is nobody else is around. I'm not getting pulled. I'm not having people asking me to do stuff, or hey, will you do this, or hey, come sit here, or hey, how about this conversation, and because and they don't mean anything by it. But like if I'm sitting in the living room and Christy's in the chair and I'm in a chair and I start reading, there inevitably I'm gonna be focused on reading, and there's gonna be a question, there's gonna be a comment, or there's gonna be a conversation or something started from Christy, because she's there, I'm there, and she wants to talk, and so inevitably it interrupts that. Millie says, just wondering, love everyone's differences. I used to read in the morning, but I've been reading at night, falling asleep too. Yeah, that's why I get up early. That's why I try to get up early before everybody else gets up. One, I gotta be here for you guys, but two, getting up an hour and a half before this call for me, um, I'm telling you this, it's still I'm trying to get up. I still get up at 4, but getting up an hour and a half before the call, one, helps me get my day started. Nobody's awake. gives me time to do my affirmations, gives me time to sit in silence, gives me time to read, gives me time to start my day before I start talking to you. Which again, and I'll talk about this. I'm gonna look at Winston's comment. I'm gonna read this and see what it said. Winston said yesterday, focus on the inputs, let the scoreboard take care of itself. And I agree with that. I think the inputs are so important. I think we get so hung up on the how, which is one of the things that I put on the title today. We do vision boards, right? We have goals, we have things that we're trying to achieve, we have things that we're trying to do, and we have things that we're trying to get. And so let me share this with you. And this is from the book Be Your Future Self Now, because what the premise of Dr. Benjamin Hardy's book is that you've got to visualize your future self, what yourself is going to look like 6 months from now, what yourself is going to look like 12 months from now, what you're going to look like 3 years from now, what you're going to look like 10 years from now. And his contention is you're all going to be completely different. You're all going to be completely different 6 months from now than you are right now. You're all going to be wholly different 10 years from now than you are right now. And if you look back at how much you've changed in the last 10, if you look at yourself and how much you've changed in the last 3, and I've talked about this over and over again, but his contention is that we operate in the knowing of our future self, that we operate in the knowing of what we believe is out here in the future. So there was a conversation yesterday between an agent and Christy, and the conversation kind of went something like this. I really want to be a real estate agent. I really think I'd be good at it because I want to help people and I have a heart to help people and I want to be really, really good at it. But I just don't want to use social media. I don't want to be on social media a lot. And I feel like if I'm not on social media a lot, then I'm not going to be able to be a good real estate agent. I'm not going to be able to get business. I'm not going to be able to do what I do. So inevitably, that feeling and that belief creates behaviors. Okay. If you believe social media isn't good for you, or you believe you're not good on social media, or you believe you're not good on the telephone, or you believe you're not a good listing agent, or you believe you don't have enough information to be valuable to your clients, or you believe, do you see what I'm saying? When you put those beliefs in place, all those beliefs affect your behavior. So then when you don't believe you have value to a client, when you don't believe that you're good on social media, when you don't believe certain things, your behavior then follows that belief. Can you agree with that? Can you feel that in your spirit? When you have a belief about something, your behavior follows suit. So if you believe you're going to, and I've said this in so many different ways. And it's what Winston was saying about what Christy said yesterday. The results are going to be the results. Christy has started to say, I can only control the controllables. We can only control the controllables, right? We can only control what we control or what we can control. And everything else we just have to leave to be what it's going to be. But if your belief powers your behaviors, if your belief inspires your behavior, if your behavior pulls along, or your beliefs pull along your behaviors, then it seems to me we've got to change our beliefs. If we're struggling with a behavior, if we're struggling with getting on the phone and calling people, if you're struggling with your listing presentation, if you're struggling with having a buyer presentation, if you're struggling with how to have a daily routine, if you're struggling with, y'all, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know who just left, but I don't want to make y'all mad, but I'm gonna say this before Christy jumps on here. I'm gonna send out an email at some point in the next couple of days about our Boomtown system. It hurt my heart yesterday. I've started to really look at the vitals and look at what our Boomtown system is actually doing for y'all. And I hate to digress, but y'all, we've got to do better with Boomtown. Some of your belief patterns around systems and some of your belief patterns around follow up and some of your belief patterns around making phone calls and some of your belief patterns around texting people and some of your belief patterns around not wanting to be a bother, some of your belief patterns around I don't want to be too salesy, a blah, whatever you say. Mindset, Christian said mindset's powerful. Mindset is the most powerful thing that you have, and it's not just your mindset, it's your belief set. It is your mindset plus your emotions combined together to become a belief, because that's when it becomes powerful. When it becomes a belief, it becomes powerful. I've said this to you. If in Boomtown, I could prove to you, if you looked at your database and I could prove to you, if you make 10 phone calls every single day, you're going to get $1 million listing. If I could prove to you, if you make 10 phone calls every single day, you're going to get a $900,000 buyer out of your Boomtown system. If I could convince you and you truly believed that all you had to do was make 10 phone calls every single day, you had to make 10 phone calls every single day. And if I make 10 phone calls every single day, I'm going to get $1 million listing. I would venture a guess that I would never have to mention making phone calls again because you guys would be on your phone constantly because your behaviors are tied to your beliefs. Can anybody agree with that? Or do you disagree with that? Do you agree with the premise that if you believe something was absolutely done, if you believed that dialing phone numbers 10 times a day, Heather B, what up, girl? If you believed that and your behaviors followed suit, I just got to get you to believe. I got to somehow, some way, get your thoughts tied to your emotions and get you to believe in what you're doing. Believe in your value. Believe that Boomtown is not the devil. Believe that your telephone is not a rattlesnake. I've got to get you to believe that you have the ability to do more business in 2023 than any other real estate agent out there. I've got to get you to believe that 2023 is going to be your best year ever. I've got to get you to believe these things because your behaviors line up with your beliefs. But so many of us have so many problems with our belief patterns. We have so many hangups in our belief patterns. We believe that we've got to go work a job from 8 to 5 to make an income every 2 weeks, to have insurance, to do this. So many of us believe that we don't have the ability to be a great real estate agent. And so our business follows suit. So many of us believe that goals aren't necessary, that having a plan isn't necessary because it's going to be what it's going to be. So many of us believe that we don't have the ability to direct our every single days by doing small things every day to direct our days. So many of us believe so many different things that aren't serving us well. I asked a question a minute ago and asked you to raise your hand about how many of you spend time on social media. And I would venture a guess, I don't know this, but there's an app that you can put on your phone. And I think I've got it on my phone. And some of the new iPhones do this automatically, but it shows your screen time and it shows how much time you're spending on your phone. I don't know how much time you spend on your phone. I don't know how much time you spend on social media and how much time you spend mindlessly scrolling TikTok or mindlessly scrolling other people's Facebook pages or mindlessly scrolling Instagram stories or reels or watching Linda Baker or or whatever. But I would almost bet you any amount of money that you wanted to wager that if you took that time that you wasted, that time we waste on TikTok, that time we waste on Instagram Reels, that time we waste on looking at other people's business on Facebook, y'all, if you took that time and invested in reading a book, if you took that time and invested in making phone calls, if you took that time and invested in you, if you took that time and invested in something that would benefit you, good gosh, the results at the end of 2023 would be, I promise you, staggering. Your results would be staggering. You would be amazed. But again, we've talked about this. We've been duped. We've been boiled. We're frogs in the pot boiling slowly. Our inputs, Winston, are so bad now. Our inputs are so mediocre. Our inputs are they're just so yeah. I can. Christy just said, "Can you let her sister in?" Sorry. Hang on. We've been boiled slowly all into mediocrity. We've been boiled slowly into average. We've been boiled slowly into distraction. We use our phones as almost like a salve, it's almost like a shot of whiskey or a cigarette. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, who's that? Who said that? Somebody said I read 7 books last year. My goal this is 12 this year, 1 per month. Sharing this with y'all for accountability. I love that. Who is that? That's Heather B. I love it, Heather B. I'm going 24. I don't know if you missed that, but I'm going 24 this year. I'm going 2 a month. 24 is my number. So Christy's coming in, but so I'm probably gonna have to be quiet for the rest of the show. So thank y'all for letting me talk. So, but we're going to keep talking about this again. Let me reiterate this before Christy gets in here. And I said this to some of y'all because some of you guys weren't on here at the beginning of the week. Tomorrow is the day you need to have your plan in place. You need to spend some time today by yourself writing your plan in place. Here's what I saw yesterday. And I want you to, y'all remember this thing with habits, right? If you try to create one new habit, you have an 80% chance of succeeding. 21 to 60 days, somewhere in that time frame, a new habit is formed. If you implement one new habit, you have an 80% chance of achieving it, of accomplishing it, of making it a habit, changing a behavior pattern, creating new mindset, new connections in your head, and making that thing work. If you try to do 2 at once, it goes from over 80% success to less than 30% success. Just adding one more new habit. If you try to implement 3 new habits, it drops to less than 10% success rate. So here's what I'm telling you. I'm saying that to say this. We need to stop trying to do too much. Okay? There is the bell curve is a real deal, right? You can get to a point of diminishing returns, trying to do too much, overachieving. And maybe and that's what Christy talked about yesterday, is that sometimes we have to let things go that we've established in the past. But I'm going to say this to you, and here's how I want you to understand this. In your goals, okay, in your plan, all right, I want you to have 3 overriding. This is from this book. This is not because Aaron's so smart, but I read this, and it goes back to what Sean Acorn said in his book about the 3 habits: doing too much, not having enough time to do too many, or getting distracted, or whatever it is that you want to say. But you need to have 3 overreaching priorities. Okay? You need to have 3 things that is your contextual purpose for 2023. Only 3 things. Only 3 things. Now, what he did, he used family, he used books, and his finances. Those are his 3 contextual things. But I want you to have 3, okay? And build your plan from 3, not from 12, but from 3, okay? Let's see. There she is.
And so we're gonna have a whole month dedicated to this. I'm trying to figure out how to stop all these crazy sounds that I'm hearing. I hear some kind of music in my ears. I'm not sure what it is. It's good music.
Probably on your phone.
It's not. I just looked at my phone. I really don't know what the music is.
It must be on your computer somewhere. You must have something
It looks
open
like
on your.
it sounds like good pot smoking music, but I mean,
There's probably
whatever.
something on your. Laptop that you've got
It
open.
might be. Oh, I think I just found it. It was good. It's good hairband music. Hold
There
on,
you
let me
go.
get back over here. All right, here I am. All right, keep going. Sorry. I've just
No,
been
I'm
knocking on the door, like looking through the
Here,
window.
let me finish this. So today's the last day. I want you to have this plan done today. Okay. I don't want the sun to rise in the morning without you having a plan for 2023. I want you to have three things that are your contextual purpose, and then build your plans, build your goals from those three things. Okay. Your behaviors are going to follow your beliefs. What you believe to be true is going to fuel your behavior patterns. Okay. So I need you to buy into what I'm telling you. I need you to connect your heart and your minds for 2023. There's such an opportunity this year for you guys to grow exponentially, professionally and personally. Okay. But you got to put good stuff in there. You got to put good stuff in there. What Winston said, and repeat what Christy said yesterday. You got to put good stuff in there. You got to control the controllables. You do what you do. You do what you do consistently. You do what you do every single day. You do the small things over and over and over again. And I promise you, it will make big impacts. It will make huge impacts in your business, huge impacts in your life, huge impacts in your family, huge impacts in every facet of who you are and what you do. Did we lose? Did you go to the bathroom or are you still there?
No, I'm still here. I just was trying to let you finish talking what you were doing, and I didn't want to distract that, so I was
No, you're
gonna.
good.
Yeah. So I was actually reading through some of the comments from earlier in this. I can't see who I was on here. Like I can't see the people, or I can't see comments or anything. So maybe I can see those comments over there on that side. There they go. So I saw Kristen Ritchie mentioning something that I had said yesterday in the meeting. And first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. I know that for some of y'all, this is if y'all weren't, if everybody who's on here, like Camelia, if you're on here, Happy New Year. Yesterday in the meeting, I mean, just as a continuation of what you're saying right now, the inputs that we put in are absolutely going to drive the. And I kind of started it with, Kirby Smart didn't stop focusing on the inputs. He didn't focus on the scoreboard. A lot of Bulldog Nation focused on the scoreboard and went to bed early and missed that amazing end to that game. Well, amazing for us, not so amazing for. And I don't necessarily like a victory that comes as a result of it only happened because somebody else messed up. But at the same time, a win's a win. Well, excuse me one second. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep talking because never mind. He's out there. I was like, I hear dogs scratching, but Carson was on dog duty. So what I was talking about yesterday was just how we think about change, and as we come into 2023, and I hadn't heard what you were saying at the beginning of the show, but as we come into 2023, I mean, there's change that's inevitable with everything, and for people like me, I'm pretty resistant to change. I'm not a big fan. Can y'all hear all that noise in the background, or can you hear all that?
Yeah.
You can hear all the static in the background and scrapping of the dogs.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Anyways.
Life.
Huh?
I said it's life. Happens.
I was thinking that there was a person that was responsible for these dogs that went away. I'm not sure where he went to. But the change that, like, even coming into the new year, I hate changing. I mean, how long does it take some of us to get used to just changing the year when you're writing a date now? Like, we just don't. It's just something that we get so set in our patterns of what we do that sometimes change is super, super hard. I was telling him yesterday. So here's Anna. Is Anna Davis on here? I haven't seen. Is Anna Davis on the calls? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Anna started asking me about 4 months ago to please get a new phone. Please, for the love of all things holy, get a new phone. And I got a new phone for Christmas. And guess what this is? This is my old phone. Because I haven't had the time to take the necessary steps that it takes to transition from using the old phone to using the new phone. And it's, I'm not going to say that it's not that I hadn't had the time. It's that hasn't been where the priority has been. We've got time to do whatever is a priority for us. And the old one's still working. And even though I get frustrated because the messages don't come up and it locks up and it does all these things, I haven't put it as a priority to sit down, stop, rid myself of the old in order to benefit from the new. Okay. And that was kind of my topic yesterday in the meeting, was just talking about how we approach change. And I'm reading this book right now as part of my challenge that I did. And I told him yesterday, I wasn't going to do the 35 hard challenge because I tried it a couple of years ago and I knew I wasn't in the right mindset to do it. And this is something that, because this is honestly a mental toughness challenge, you have to be in the right mindset to do this. This is not a just go out there and do it. And I'm going to just decide I'm going to do it. And you're going to push through and make it for that 75 days. And the craziest part is that the simplest tasks are the ones that we struggle with the most. The ones that we think, oh, that'll be easy, I can do that. Those are the ones that I'm finding myself struggling the most with. Not the ones that I'm having to be intentional about working them into my life now. It's the things that I thought were part of my life already. Those are the things that I'm pushing and really having to be intentional about making sure that I get worked in. So yesterday, just so you know, I mean, how many times do we talk ourselves out of doing something because we think, well, we're not going to do this, or we're not going to do that. And yesterday, I mean, honestly, I considered yesterday morning when I got up, it had stormed. God, it had stormed so bad. What in the world? How does random stuff just show up in the house that you don't even know where it came from? It wasn't there 4 minutes ago, and now it's just this random sock in the middle of the kitchen floor. So I was thinking to myself, almost trying to talk myself out of doing the meeting yesterday. Like, but Maggie had some people she had invited, okay, to the meeting that were, and so I knew that there was somebody that was going to be there waiting for us to do this meeting, and it had stormed, y'all. Last night, Jolie said on the group chat that she didn't come because of the tornado. The tornado warnings told her not to come, and I'm like, wow, had I known there was a tornado warning, I probably would have maybe not even. I might have actually, just from a safety standpoint, said, let's cancel this meeting for today. But I'm driving, and I mean, it stormed, y'all. God, it stormed so bad. I mean, I literally got up and opened up the plantation shutters and looked outside because I could hear it was, how they say that with a tornado coming, it sounds like a train coming in, and I could almost feel the rumble and feel like it sounded like that train was coming in. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if I needed to go to the basement and get the dogs. I didn't know what I needed to do. So anyway, so I'm driving to the meeting yesterday, and it's I know this is going to shock y'all, but I may or may not have been running a touch behind on time. So I'm driving probably a little faster than I should be for conditions. Okay, not any faster than I would have normally, but for conditions. And I'm driving around down the back roads because it's a lot of country roads between Hartwell and even where you get to like the Athens area to go towards Madison. And I'm looking along the sides of the roads, and there are just yards that are it's like lakes. It literally looks like lakes. And I'm thinking, golly, man, there's no way some of these houses are not flooded. Like, did it really rain this much? I mean, it literally looked like I was driving down waterfront property, and it wasn't. The water was all the way up to the roads. I was driving by and looking at driveways that were completely washed out. So I'm just driving along. Thank God it was a moment that I had both of my hands on the wheel, and I hadn't reached down to do something and only had one hand on the wheel. I start hydroplaning. And when I say hydroplaning, so Aaron and I were driving to Tennessee one time, and he was in a moving truck, and I was in the car, and do you remember this, Aaron? We were on the interstate, and there was this little car, and it was like, it wasn't really busy. It wasn't super busy, but it was like this little car, and it was a small little car, like, I don't know, like a little Nissan, like almost like a Nissan Sentra size car, okay, little car. And it hits, I don't know what it did, but it started losing control. And we watched it. Remember, we watched it. It went up on one side, went up on the other side, like two wheels, spun around, Okay, literally in the middle of the interstate, and we're watching all this happen, and we're in two separate cars. He's in the moving truck, and I'm in my vehicle, and we're watching this car spin around, and it literally came to a stop in the middle of the median, like against the concrete wall in the middle of the interstate. Thankfully, it was the concrete barrier separated the two, the northbound and southbound lanes, or whichever direction we were going, east, west, whatever it was. And remember, the car turned around and it ended up, was it facing the direction we were coming from, or did it face,
Yeah.
was it facing the correct
I
way?
think it's facing the other way, facing on going.
It was facing the way it
it's
should have
supposed
been
to be
going. So
Yeah.
it ended up, so he ended up not wrecking. But that's how I felt like I looked. I didn't spin around. I did not spin all the way around, but I went from, I know that my car, because for the love of Jesus, Pete, stop it. So I go and I can see, because when I like just looked out the windshield, I can see that my vision went this way. So I know that I was on two wheels at one point on the one side. I veered over. So when you're hydroplaning, they say the worst thing you can do is hold on the brakes. You don't try to stop the car. You pump the brakes. And all I'm thinking is keep the control. And now keep in mind, the roads that I'm driving down, it was not like if I went off the road, I'm just going off onto a shoulder. Keep in mind, I'm driving through, and because I remember just looking that way and that way, thinking, if I'm going to go off the road, which way do I go? Thankfully, there were no cars coming towards me, because I had completely gone across the entire other way. I'd gone off the shoulder on the other way, but then I got the car back on. I mean, it was one of those, like, and I told me, I said, I could literally hear Carrie Underwood singing as this is happening. It's happening so fast, and I'd literally hear her singing "Jesus Take the Wheel" in my mind. It was all happening that fast. And I remember hearing people tell stories about when they're getting into an accident and everything just was like slow motion. It was happening so fast, but yet it was so slow. That's how I felt yesterday. And I remember thinking, I'm not making it to this meeting, and I'm fixing to go off. And on the one side of the road, it was all water. Like it wasn't like a lake, but it was a flooded yard, all water. And those embankments go down about 4 feet. So somehow I pulled it back together and kept driving. Never had to pull over, never anything. But I mean to tell you, I got to the office yesterday and I told him, I said, y'all, I did my first workout. Like I got my heart rate, my cardio workout done in like 40 seconds. I got a 45-minute cardio rise done. So controlling the controllable, though, is the only way that I kept that vehicle on the road yesterday. I mean, honestly, because the only thing all I could do is do what I knew to do. Like in my mind, I think back to Kevin. We called him Papa. He always, whenever I started driving, he always told me all the things to do when you're driving. If you run into this situation, you do this. If you run into this, you just, so even those things because I can't think of another time when I've actually had a hydroplaning incident when I truly thought like I'm fixing to wreck and I can't get this thing back. I mean, I've skidded a little bit here and there, when water's on top of the road. So, and the things that we've done through our life that we don't really think a whole lot about, right? During the time that it's happening, but it's just part of something that maybe we heard it or we learned it way back when we were 15 and learning how to drive, but that has just stuck with us. And then boom, here I am almost 7.5 years after my stepfather's passed away from cancer. And that lesson that he just that seed he planted in me of teaching me how to drive. When you hydroplane, you do this, you pump the brakes, you try to maintain as much. And sometimes you just got to go with wherever your car's going in order to, don't try to fight it. Just go the direction that the car's going, and then you can bring it back into control. So when I think about, and Kristen said something about, I'd said yesterday, for people who are looking at this change, any changes that we're coming into, whether it's, and I talked yesterday about some pruning, and I thought I would do some of that today, and I may still have a little bit of time to do that, but how we look at change. And so many times we look at change as an elephant, as it's so huge, like it's just daunting. And we don't ever go into it with the right mindset, because we just think and I use this term, Winston reminded me of it, paralysis by analysis. Like we try so hard to look at this change or whatever it is that we're doing, when really all we do is the same way you eat an elephant. You eat it one bite at a time. any change that we're looking at, whether it's in our business, whether it's in our personal life. And as we come into 2023, we wrote some words up on the board yesterday. And so I think might have been Michelle that asked me, what was my word for 2023? And I told her, I said, my word for 2023 is clarity. And honestly, I might have had that word for 2020, might have been clarity or vision. But just like with my 75 hard starting in October 2021, when we tried it the previous time, and it was a miserable failure because I wasn't in the right mindset. And even though my 2020 word might have been clarity or vision, I can't remember exactly what it was. For 2023, I'm ready for that clarity. I'm truly in a really, really good place for focusing on that clarity. So just like I talked about with the hydroplaning, where you lean in, okay, to whatever direction the car's going. When there's a situation that almost feels like you don't have control of it, you have to just, one, go back to the things that you know, go back to the controllables. Secondly, sometimes you've got to lean into that change. Sometimes you've got to lean into whatever it is. You don't think you're supposed to be going that direction, but sometimes you just got to lean into it so that you don't, because fighting it is only going to create more problems. And a lot of times, and we've talked about this, fighting it is a lot of times going to cause an overcorrection. Whereas if I lean into it and I'm like, okay, I can go that way because because I know that's the direction I'm going. So with change, and sometimes leaning into that change means just making a 1 degree change, just making a slight change, just making a slight change to the way we're thinking, making a slight change to a process, making a slight change to some different ways of thinking. Okay. And I challenged people yesterday to truly look back on your 2022 business. Let's take this to a business piece. Let's look back to our 2022 and say, okay, what served me well in 2022? What from 2022? Because even for people that 2022 was a hell of a year, and for a lot of us, it was a hell of a year. And not a hell of a year in a good way, but there were things in our 2022 that we don't necessarily want to carry into 2023. But I promise you, and I put a post up this week, some of those storms, every single storm that comes into our life comes for a reason. And every storm carries a lesson. It carries something that we can learn from. And if we don't take that lesson and we don't accept the lesson, that storm is going to follow us into 2023 because the lesson is for us. And God's going to continue to put things in our life to give us that lesson until we stop, reflect on the lesson, and take action on that lesson. And I truly believe that we can't just close the door on, I've seen a lot of posts like, oh, we're gonna tiptoe out, we're gonna close the door in 2020 and we're never gonna speak of it again. Don't do that, because all you're doing is you're carrying the things that you were supposed to learn from 2022 into 2023 in the way of a storm if you're not selectively picking what you're carrying into 2023. And I used the analogy yesterday for those of us that are country folk and used to sit in our grandma's. You Nashville folks, you Nashville Indians may not have ever done this. You may have, I don't know. But where we go and we get a huge bag of like peas, and we'd sit in our grandma's living room.
Nope.
And you never did that? Have you never done that?
I've seen it happen, but
you city folk, y'all don't know what the good life's like. You had never
shelled
a big old bag of peas with your grandma sitting in the living room. So what we do is we go in and you prepare for it. I mean, you prepare for this process, right? You truly prepare for it. You come in, you get a big sheet, and you lay it in the middle of the floor, and they bring this big bag. I mean, a huge bag of snap peas, like peas that you're gonna snap, and you bring them in, and everybody gets a little bucket, and they have 2 buckets, or you just put a pile of them in front of you, and then you start shelling the peas. And as you're shelling the peas, you put the good peas in this little cup, and normally sometimes it's like a cup that big, because and the kids probably get a smaller cup because they aren't going to shell that many. They're going to play in the holes. And then as you're shelling, so you bring a bushel A bushel. Is that whoever Facebook user said there's a country person, they know it's called a bushel. So you're shelling, and at the end of it, you have this huge pile of the green hulls from these peas, and you've gone in and you've shelled all the peas, and then you've got a bucket. So Carrie, look at there, Carrie. She said, "Now you're speaking my language." My brother, see, now Craig knows. We used to do this sitting in. If Craig's in here, we used to do this sitting in Grandma Bibby's living room. There's a big sheet that goes in the middle of the floor. You bring it all in, and you start shelling peas. I'm not sure if Craig ever did this or not. He might have been playing soccer or doing something. I had to go down there and practice my piano, and instead of practicing piano, I would go.
Go
I
shell
volunteered to
peas.
start shelling peas because I hated practicing piano. So anyway, but at the end, when you have this huge bushel of peas that got brought in, at the end, you have maybe 3-gallon Ziploc bags of actual peas and snaps that you're going to use and put up. And the rest of it is all just this huge pile of waste. Okay. So the storms are the huge bushel of things that come in, and there's value in it. There's diamonds in that, because then when your grandma knows how to cook them with a pressure cooker, and you get fresh cooked purple hulls or whatever they are, and they're delicious, but you had to go through the process of getting to the good stuff, and you had to go through and get to do the work to get the value out of that huge bushel of peas that came in. And that's what I would say, is that we have to remove obstacles of change. And if we choose through pruning, and I talked about pruning yesterday, and maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow if I make it 2 days in a row on this call. Through pruning, we selectively choose which obstacles we remove. I mean, and it's easier to remove the obstacles when you're choosing which obstacles you're removing. When you're doing it by choice, and you are in control of that, and it's a planned pruning, and it's not done. And I wrote down a quote this morning, just one thing, and I will talk tomorrow about pruning more, because I know your 57 minutes almost up. But so many times we resist change. And I said, I'm such a creature of habit. I drive a whatever, like many years ago, Yukon, that's literally the same chassis from the front seat to the middle section of it. It's the same vehicle that I've driven since 2007. I bought a 2007 Suburban that I drove until I had 215, 212, 220, I don't know, a 200, a lot of thousand miles on it, until it literally had replaced the transmission and everything. And then I bought the identical vehicle, same body style. They hadn't even changed body styles yet. Again, in I think 2012, maybe 2010. And then I drove it until I got the Yukon that I have now, that now has 260 something thousand miles on it. So to say that I'm a creature of habit and don't like to change, and if something's still working, I guess that's the dab of C that I have in me, is I'm not going to change until I absolutely am forced to change. That's been my mindset. And to me, that is a thought process that I'm pruning going into 2023. And my challenge to everyone yesterday, and my challenge to everyone today, is embrace the pruning. And I don't have the bracelet on right now, but I put the thing on and I gave it to people that, embrace the suck. And when Aaron ordered those bracelets, God, I hated them, because I hate the word suck. I think it's so awful, like awful. I hate the word. It's just terrible. It just sounds awful. So, but I put it on because if we look at it and we say, embrace the suck of change, embrace the suck of whatever it is, attach that word suck to whatever it is. Moving was how it started. Like, he started the thing of embrace the suck of moving. Moving sucks, but I can help you through it, or whatever. So, but embracing that change and not resisting it allows you to keep going the way that you're going. Yesterday, and last night I went to bed and I was like, Lord, thank you so much for protecting me on that drive this morning, because I literally, there's no telling. I mean, when I think to what could have happened, and I truly believe that it happened because God was showing me, if you'll just trust me, I've got this. And if you'll just do the things and follow the things that I've put in your life up to this point, I mean, when that's happening and you're having all these things going through your mind, because we know people that have accidentally in perfectly clear weather days hit a shoulder of a road, overcorrected, somebody hit a tree and they passed away. So, I mean, I know of these things, how bad it can happen, much less on a day where the conditions aren't good. And even on the sides of the roads, if I'd gone off one side of the road and my car had flipped and I'd landed upside down in this flooded yard, I mean, there's no telling what could have happened. And so last night as I'm going to bed, I'm like, Lord, thank you so much for protecting me on that drive and for giving me the lesson as part of that process that happened of the things that we've got already in our subconscious that have been ingrained just throughout our life. The lessons that we've got with us today, we are fully prepared to approach whatever comes our way in 2023. But we have to be intentional about controlling the controllables. There are certain things we can't control. I couldn't control, and I didn't cause the water standing on top of the road. I couldn't even control the fact that I couldn't see it. I could have controlled my speed. Again, I wasn't going super, super fast, but I was going faster than I should have been going, probably for the conditions. As I'm driving down the road, looking at all the stuff going on the side of the road, I probably should have stopped at that point and said, I should probably drive a little slower because these conditions aren't going to be good. But I didn't. I kept pressing forward. So even when we don't control the controllables, sometimes the lessons that we've learned through life and sometimes the things that have prepared us that we don't even think about that are just in our subconscious. I wrote a note a while ago about something that somebody said, and it said, I'm trying to see where the note was there. Okay. Controlling our mindset. And sometimes that's controlling our thoughts. And this is just one of the 5 pieces that I'm not even going to start to get into today. But it talks about sometimes if we control our thoughts, and Aaron says this a lot, and biblically it says capture your thoughts. Like our thoughts, uncontrolled, unchecked, our minds are like a 2-year-old with a machete. Seriously. Our thoughts uncontrolled, if we don't capture those thoughts and we don't take control of those thoughts, like yesterday when that happened to me, I could have chosen to freak out, not take control of any situation, but suddenly all these thoughts just started popping up. I mean, because when that's happened and things like that happen so fast, I don't think of which tool am I fixing to use. You're grabbing whatever is closest thing for you. If somebody's going down, I mean, I was laughing the other day talking about a situation that happened in Nashville. If anybody on here if Michelle or Winston's still on this call, where there was a situation at the Southeast party at Jason Aldean's rooftop bar a few years ago, where we were all standing talking. There was a row of us, and about 2 people down from me, it was misty outside, and somebody started slipping, and they pulled. And then they pulled the next person. The next person pulled me, and I was standing in front of Aaron, and I pulled Aaron. Next thing we know, we're all on the floor. Literally, all of us on the floor. And we get up, and I'm laughing hysterically. Aaron was not laughing hysterically.
Nope, I was not.
He wasn't laughing at all, as a matter of fact.
There was no laughing.
But I'm laughing hysterically. The girl who pulled me down's laughing. We go in the bathroom because she's got her whole back's completely wet. So we're in the bathroom trying to get her all dried off. I come back outside. I'm like, where's Aaron? It's like, he left. And I'm like, I'm sorry, he did what? But sometimes our natural instinct is to just grab whatever's there. Okay. And you grab whatever's closest to you. When there's a fall or there's a change that's happening or something hits you unexpectedly, you don't really know what to grab. So you just grab whatever's the closest thing to grab. And sometimes it's the right thing to grab, and sometimes it's not the right thing to grab. Okay. But yesterday, these thoughts from my subconscious just popped back in. And I remember Kevin saying, just pump the brakes. Don't slam on brakes. Go with it, lean into it, and pump the brakes. And by doing that, I got my car, I unlocked my brakes that lock up on a hydroplane, unlocked the brakes, and got the car back under control to where, yeah, was it a scare? Yeah. Did I learn a lesson? Heck yeah. Am I driving like that on when there's at that speed? Heck no. So I shortly I think I got to a red light or stop sign, and I texted Michelle and said, I'm coming, but I'm going to be driving a little slower moving forward. And I was going to be there just shortly before 11, but now I'm going to go with however fast I get there, and I'm driving slow on the rest of these roads. So I think I lost Aaron. I'm not sure where he went. He's gone. And I can't see who else is on here. So if there's anybody else on here with me, say hi, because I feel like I'm just at this now. I really do feel like I'm just talking to myself. So I would just say that, and back to what Kristen said, if we measure the milestones and we don't focus on the scoreboard, that's what I said yesterday, is just control the inputs. We control the inputs. Good morning, Lynn. Control the inputs. Okay, so there are people here because I can't see who's on here at all. Good morning, Shay. Hey, from everybody. If we're not watching the scoreboard and we're controlling the inputs and we're managing the inputs, the scoreboard takes care of itself. Okay, so I'm just going to challenge you guys coming into 2023. Manage your inputs. Reflect on your 2022. What served you? What behaviors or activities or relationships or processes in your business served you, and which ones didn't? And so in the pruning process, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, but through the pruning process, there's 3 different types of limbs or things that get pruned in the pruning process. And so, but the one that is such an easy one, and I call this the low-hanging fruit. Sometimes when you've got things to do, the things that are so obvious are the low-hanging fruit. Sometimes when you're going out to start picking fruit off of peach trees or orange trees, or I grew up in Central Florida, so it was orange trees. But you would go and you would pick the low-hanging fruit, and sometimes you would even pick up the things off the ground that had recently fallen, and you would just evaluate them, because if they were on the ground but you could tell they had just recently fallen, those are perfectly good. But the rest of the fruit you just leave alone or throw off and let the animals eat it or whatever, you get rid of it. But you pick the low-hanging fruit. So to me, an easy process to start the pruning is to pick the most obvious. Like, what's the most obvious that has to go, that I'm not going to carry into 2023, that really there was no lesson in, there was nothing that served me from it. I think there was probably a little lesson, and maybe the lesson was it's not serving me. So evaluate that. But then I'm going to talk tomorrow, spending some real time about evaluating even some of the things that are good, because good's the enemy of great, but good will hold you back from having great. The things that you allow to remain that are good can hold you back from being great, from allowing yourself to get to that very best place. And this book that I'm reading right now, Necessary Endings, this is my part of the 10 pages, but I'm reading a chapter a day, which ends up being about 14 or 15 pages. But God, that book is so good. It's so eye-opening, because again, for someone like myself, who is such a creature of habit, who resists change like everything. Even when I get a new computer, I carry 2 computers around for 3 months because I don't like the feel of a new computer. Like, Aaron can take something new and he will throw the old one away on his way in the door from getting the new one. Like, he doesn't even bother with, literally will discard the old as he's walking through the door from buying the new. And I'm like, well, don't you think you need to hold on to that? And nope, I don't need it. I've got the new one. So
that's true.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that some people can get rid of things that they know they're not going to use moving into the future. I don't know if I've ever told y'all this. I don't know why. It's some childhood trauma. I'm sure that I needed a napkin at some point in my life when I had to stop inside and pee or something, and I didn't have one.
Good Lord.
I carry stuff in my glove box, in my center console. And
when she says she carries stuff, it's like you can barely get the thing down. Carry stuff.
But,
carry stuff. Carry stuff. That sounds so sweet and kind.
I do,
but it's actually not.
It's like items.
It's like when you open. It literally is the closet. If you open,
so that they consist of straws, napkins, utensil packs, sometimes Taco Bell sauce.
Mariah Carey CDs from 1988.
Possibly. Anyways, I carry that stuff in my console. And Aaron, being the husband that he is, and he's always trying to help his wife, he likes to help me declutter. And so he will sometimes take it upon himself to clean out my console and eliminate any of my emergency items that are in there. And we were actually at an event. Well, my gun's my gun's actually not even in the console. I keep my gun in full visibility, that somebody knows when they walk into my window that they're about to get the FAFO. They're not. I make sure they can see it very, very clearly. So,
God, Carrie, y'all are the same for you. There are literally letters and mail in that thing from 1912.
y'all have got mouthwash in there. Anyways,
From Zeke's dentist appointment when he was 3.
so anyways, but the point is, we get to this event, and they are selling chili dogs, and I wanted a chili dog, but I didn't want the hot dog. I wanted to eat the hot dog with the chili. I wanted to cut it up and eat it with the bowl of chili. I didn't want the bun. Well, they didn't have any spoons. So I said, not a problem. I've got spoons. I've got enough spoons that you can actually have spoons. Exactly. Thank you, Carrie. You can actually have spoons for other people. So I walk out to my I went there and said, can I have the keys? Because he had the keys in his pocket. Hey, Coop. So I walk out there. I don't have any spoons in my console. I don't have any straws in my console. I don't have any napkins in my console. I ain't got crap in my console because my husband had taken it upon himself to clean out my console. So there I was with a bowl of chili with a hot dog cut up in it with no way to eat it. So sometimes it's okay to thin. There's a process that you do in trees. Can y'all see Cooper in here? Gosh, he's such a sweet, yes, baby boy. He says, I just want to see. Did I see my daddy? You see my daddy? So there's a process that people thin the pines, right? They thin them out. And the thinning process allows for the trees that are in the whole process of thinning is so that the trees that are left are able to grow larger and they're able to flourish more. Same idea about I had heard Carrie all morning as I started talking about a packed console. Carrie, you think it has something to do with the name? That maybe it's just an Aaron thing. So the thinning. So sometimes it's good to thin, but not necessarily completely eliminate. Like you don't want to lob the whole thing off, but you do need to thin it out a little bit. And I agree with that. I love looking at a good clean console when I've got at least one straw, because as many people as we normally have in our cars, there's always a chance that whenever we get drinks that they will have forgotten a straw and somebody is drinking a drink without a straw if I don't have one in my console. So and I'm gonna end with this. Quantum leap change isn't necessarily always good because it's not always sustainable. Whereas if you lean into the change and you do it 1 degree at a time or one small change at a time that's attainable, then a lot of times that will allow you to establish the mindset around the change to make it sustainable and just make it part of who you are. We had a conversation the other day about New Year's resolutions, and so many times people make a quantum leap New Year's resolution instead of just incorporating one concept or thought or one idea of what they're going to change going into the new year as that change. And then by January 15th or February 1st, all those New Year's resolutions, I mean, like Camellia Hurt, if she's, I don't think she's still on here, but she was at the gym. I'm sure Camille's been at the gym every morning forever. Okay. New Year, she probably couldn't even find a Stairmaster or elliptical or whatever they call them now, in the gym because everybody was in there as of January 1st. And that's going to taper off. It's kind of like the beginning of a marathon or the beginning of a race. Like everybody starts at the same place. And then by the time they get months down the road, only the ones that are committed are still in there. Okay. So this 75 hard thing that we're doing, it's not that hard. It really isn't. It is such and again, if you can get past the profanity in Andy Frizella's podcast about it, the idea behind why he created it, it's so simplistic. People make it hard. Because he doesn't give you rules of you've got to do this specific diet. He just tells you to pick one and follow it. Pick something that you can do and follow it, period. Just follow it for 75 days. Pick something that's achievable for you because it's more of a mindset challenge than anything. And this year, I'd already told the group I wasn't going to start it, but I'm on it. And I do truly believe that I can do it because I set my goals to be realistic of things that I could accomplish and do 1 degree changes and get through it. So I've gone 400%. I'm 400% better today than I was the last time I started it because I don't think I even got through day 1 last time because we couldn't get the second workout in. We couldn't squeeze that second workout in. So I'm through day 4 now. So now we're on day 5. And I truly believe that as we go, it becomes a habit of just what we're doing. So you guys go out there. I know we're on here for a long time. You want to say something else? I think I can't see how many people are on here, so I don't know who we've lost and who's still here.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I think we got to go. Let them go. Get their day started. Remember, just as a reminder, make sure that you don't sleep on this thing now. Don't get your plan. Okay. You before and this is what you're saying is so true. But before you know what you got to let go, you got to know what you got to keep. You got to be so certain what you need to keep, and your belief needs to be so solid on what needs to stay. I think, and that's just my personal opinion. Before you know what needs to go, you need to know what you need to keep. Because, like Christy said, the worst thing that you can do is throw out the pack of plastic silverware, and some point in the future you want to have plastic silverware, and then there's a whole argument about the plastic silverware that gets thrown out because
I don't know
you're
if it was
trying
an
to do some
argument. There was definitely some shade thrown. There was
sorry
some
shade
shade
thrown.
lobbed that
So,
direction.
so be solid. So be solid in the essentials. Be solid in your beliefs. Know what you
That's
know
good. Be solid
and
in
know
the
what you
essentials is
need,
good.
and let that be your guiding factor and guiding force before you prune. Okay. So
And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I really am. We may have he's gone. He might be like, bye. He didn't even say bye. So, but, and I am going to talk about that tomorrow. So my hope is to get back on this call, and I may even start a different one that's not just this morning thing, because so many times, oh, computer died. So many times we, we don't sit down and write out what it needs to look like for us. We don't sit down and do that of what does this have to, what do I want this to look like? And I'm going to touch on that tomorrow, but I may start a thing that's going to be a separate one that I may get a group and people who want to join it. I think that there's a lot of value that sometimes is honestly women, that not to give Aaron the boot, because he could maybe do something for men, but I think sometimes there's just some things that we can talk about. Come here, give me a hug before you go. I love you. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. That's fine. I wouldn't call it stealing. I would call it more, I love you. Have a good day. Borrow it. I don't want it back. Trust me, I don't want it back if you drink it. So, but because there's ideas and there's conversations that can happen that a lot of times for women are easier to be open about and share with women than they are, because sometimes it's just, but this is phenomenal. And I do want this for everybody. But Anna Davis challenged me at convention that one of the things that she actually volunteered me for it, and then came back. She voluntold me about it. And that's one of the things that I'm definitely taking into 2023 is I do want to execute that. I do want to get that going. So I love y'all. I'm gonna hop off here. Again, I can't see who all's still on here, so I'm kind of flying blind right now. But I love y'all. I'm gonna leave the studio because that's the only way I know how to end this based on the way I got in. So you guys have a good day. Be good, be great, and be you. Bye.